watching. You are watching.
You're watching. You guys are watching.
You're watching. Soulful discussion.
All right. So good morning. Hi. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great. Doing great. So how did our paths just cross right now? How did we just meet?
I was skating on the boardwalk in Newport, and you waved at me, and I waved, and then you started talking, so I took my headband out, and then you asked me if I wanted to do an interview on feet and reflexology.
Reflexology, absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely. And also talking about like some of the questions that are going to kind of deal with some like dealing with different insecurities and things like that that you might deal with in life. So I'm gonna ask you some questions about that, and it's just like I said, your opinions, how you feel about it. That's it.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of reflexology before I mentioned it? Or
I
probably like slightly.
Maybe I took a kinesiology class in college, but I don't remember.
So it might be some information that you might remember as I'm talking about it. And I'd just like to kind of get your opinion on how you feel about it once we get there. Okay, does that sound good?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So first question I like to ask, what's something that you like that other people might find to be weird? And I'm using the term weird for a reason. Maybe it might be a hobby you have or a certain way you eat your food, anything like that. Or maybe the way you eat your food, like some people eat like, ranch on, fries or whatever, or ketchup on eggs, things like that.
Yeah.
Anything like that.
I'm trying to think. I eat a lot of ice cream.
Okay. All right. Any particular like flavors?
Mint and chip.
Mint chip. Okay.
Yeah, I'm like addicted to ice cream.
Okay.
It's pretty bad.
All right.
Yeah.
So you have ice cream, like that's your thing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next question. Has anyone ever made you feel insecure about your body or a body part before?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that something you still deal with now, or do you kind of have a control over it now?
I think I mostly have control over it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you kind of got to a point. Now, how did you get to the point where it doesn't bother you as much anymore, like when you deal with different things like that? People may say things and you're like, I can just block it out. What are some steps you took?
Steps? I don't know. I feel like in like my college, it was hard. Like, I feel like everyone was insecure pretty much.
Yeah.
And like just going to school with all like tiny, skinny girls. And then like definitely graduating and like moving was a step.
Yeah.
Just like getting out of that environment where like people were unhealthy to like get that skinny. And yeah, I just took up a hobby and it's a good exercise.
Active, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that helped me get in better shape.
Yeah. And hobby, she's talking about skating. She skated around, ran into her as she was kind of doing some really cool moves over here, just like moving real fast. So next question, if there was one thing you could change about yourself, it doesn't have to be physical, but somebody gave you the power to change whatever you wanted about yourself, what would you change?
Oh my gosh. One thing.
Yeah.
Only one?
I mean,
I'm just kidding.
As many as you want, but I mean, just one in particular if you have one.
I don't know. Probably just like always like worrying like anxieties and stuff.
Okay.
Probably that.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
About things that aren't important.
Sometimes you like overthink situations that may be like super simple.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. I found like, at least for myself, like I was somebody who kind of dealt with that a whole lot, like never being able to make like snap decisions, kind of being like, like teetering on the line, and then you wait so long that like the situation then passes you by. So I think that something that I've learned is like asking myself like, what's the worst that's gonna happen in like the situation, right? If I see that there's nothing that's gonna threaten my life or safety, then like what am I worrying about, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, different things like that. So next question, and I know you're probably gonna start laughing again, but how do you feel about your feet? What are your thoughts?
My feet? Yeah. I really don't care about feet. Like, okay. They're so far away from me. I barely see them.
Okay, so you have no thoughts.
They're pretty ugly, but...
Okay, so you have no thoughts in terms of that?
No, like I've always been made fun of my feet. Really? I used to buy shoes that were too small for me because I thought my feet were too big. But then I realized that looks even worse because I have small feet and a big, super tall. Yeah. So yeah, now I embrace my big feet.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever complimented you before?
Complimented me?
Yep.
Like on anything?
On your feet. Has anybody complimented you before on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
it was a joke.
It was a joke? Was it a
Probably.
man, a woman? Who was it?
A man.
A man. Okay. How did it make you feel in that situation?
I just thought it was funny.
You thought it was funny?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. How often do you get like pedicures, things like that?
Never.
Never? You've never gotten a pedicure before?
I've gotten like probably like 5.
Okay. Was it like for
Yeah.
like special occasion, a wedding or something like that?
Yeah. It was like with my cousin because my mom's super cheap. She's always like, "Why do that when you
Yeah.
could just pay your own
Paying
nails?" And I
yourself.
was
So
like,
you kind
"Yeah,
of do
you're
your own
true."
self care then, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Like at my
Have you ever
house.
heard of a medical pedicure before?
No.
Okay, so medical pedicures are like when you go see like a podiatrist, a specialist of the foot, and they will actually like take a look at your feet, your toe alignment, make sure everything's correct, make sure your nails are growing correctly, and basically they'll like check for dead skin, fungus, all that. And they do all the work there. It's like medical grade equipment they use. What would your thoughts be on like maybe seeing something like that as opposed to like the cosmetic ones?
I mean, if I had like something in my foot that was bothering me, I probably would.
Okay.
But
Other than
now
that,
my feet are fine.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. How often do you wear like open toe shoes, sandals, flip flops, things like that?
Never.
Never. Okay. What about how often do you go barefoot?
A lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of earthing and grounding?
Mhm.
All right. Do you like? Is that why you do it? Because of that, or?
I just like the feeling and that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it's a combination of both. Then,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I interviewed someone before, and she said that like being barefoot is kind of almost like reminding you of like your childhood of being like free and like just no worries in the world. So she says that she thinks everybody should kind of adopt that as like maybe like 30 minutes throughout the day, just kind of grounding, putting your feet in some grass, some dirt or sand, and just kind of relaxing in that element. What are your thoughts about that? Do you agree?
I
with
agree.
that?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Does it help you in terms of like because I know you said you like it, but like do you feel like a big difference like when you are barefoot as compared to like when you have shoes on and things like that?
I honestly like don't wear shoes very often.
Okay.
Unless I'm like going to the store
Yeah.
or going out. But yeah, I just feel like very freeing.
Okay. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. So now, can we see what your feet look like up close? Is that okay?
Oh gosh, oh no.
No?
Yeah,
Okay.
I guess.
You can? Okay.
I take off. I don't know which foot's. Both feet.
If you can. And
Gonna
what size do
take
you
a
wear?
while.
Because you're like
Size
about
10.
I think I imagine you were like 6'1".
I'm like 5'11".
5'11". All right. So pretty tall, and you wear a size 10.
I don't know what these are gonna look like.
Don't worry about that. Like, we're not, no judgments here.
Okay. Also, my skates.
Mhm.
They'll dye like bleeds onto my feet
That's okay.
because my feet get really sweaty.
That's it.
Hold your breath.
That's all good.
This is the weirdest thing ever.
I see what
Ta-da.
you mean. Okay. So we got just like purely natural right now. What's wrong? You
They're
feel
so
a little
ugly.
insecure?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong. Like I feel like you don't
My
have them polished right now.
toenails.
You don't have them polished. Can we see the sole? Is that okay?
So?
Oh yeah. All right. Yeah. I don't think they're too bad. Like I feel like if you went and got a pedicure, and maybe
Probably
even
look better.
yeah. But there's nothing wrong in terms of that. In terms of that, so. So in terms of the interview so far, right? Because I know that before we started, you were a little bit like kind of I don't know.
Yeah.
How are you feeling right now during the interview?
I feel fine.
Okay. Cool. So let's get into the reflexology portion because I'd like to like talk to you about that. Like I said, maybe
Can I
it's
put
gonna.
this back on?
Yeah, sure. You
Okay.
good. So reflexology deals with the different pressure points we have in our hands and our feet. And those different pressure points actually like correlate to various parts of our body. And through massage, acupuncture, things like that, you can actually like alleviate a lot of stress and tension throughout your body. So like if you deal with migraines, there's like a portion of your foot to a massage that will like alleviate like that tension you feel from a migraine. And like they usually have like what's called like zones that basically like align to like the way that your body is. So it goes like head, shoulders, lungs, kidneys, things like that. What are your thoughts on like reflexology and kind of what it can do for you for like a more holistic standpoint as opposed to like maybe using like over-the-counter meds and things like that?
I don't know. I've never tried it. I'd have to try and see if it worked.
Okay. But at least from what you hear, like if it was true, like how would you feel about that, like as an approach?
Yeah, I would rather do that
Okay.
than
Absolutely.
medicine.
Cool. Now, did you remember anything? Because I know you said you kind of took kinesiology before. Did that like spark any kind of like memories of like some of those different like pressure points, anything like that?
It was an intro class, so I don't think.
Oh,
we got
okay.
That
You didn't get that far into
Yeah.
it. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So let's wrap up the interview now. In terms of my approach, like asking you to do an interview, what were your thoughts about my approach?
Approach. I don't know. You're nice, so usually if someone gave me like bad vibes, I'd probably just leave.
Absolutely.
I trusted you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
You made me feel
appreciate
comfortable.
that. Absolutely. In terms of like the interview from start to finish, did you see how everything was going in the line? Did it make sense to you? Did you learn anything new from the interview?
Well, I learned about the pressure point thing.
Absolutely.
Didn't know that before.
What about like the medical pedicures? Like, did you know
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So the last thing that I'll ask, maybe from a mental health standpoint, a life lesson that maybe you've learned, some wise words somebody once said to you that you can say to my channel that could be helpful. You like put on the spot. Oh God.
I don't know.
It could be the simplest of things, like just something that like resonated with you that might be helpful to somebody else.
You only live once.
You only live once. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
You live once, might as well take advantage of like the different opportunities that are presented to you, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Definitely appreciate you stopping. I know you were like on your way skating along the boardwalk. Yeah. We definitely appreciate you stopping and doing an interview with us. And we hope that you have a great one, okay?
Thanks, you too.
All right. So, hey, how you doing today?
I'm good, and you?
All right. So we just met right now, right at the gas station on this rainy day. What did I approach you about?
Cold ass day. If I could be willing to help you with your YouTube video.
Absolutely. What did I tell you the interview was going to be about?
People being weird.
Well, so I gave you 3 topics, right? So it's about like your feelings about feet, mental health, and reflexology.
My
right?
feelings about feet?
Yeah.
I mean.
Hold on, we'll get to that. Hold on, we're gonna go question by question, okay?
Okay.
So first of all, like, what are your thoughts? Like, are there any like mental health topics you kind of follow closely that you pay attention to, or anything like that?
Give me an example.
Like you were just talking about anxiety. Like, is there anything else that you kind of follow like that?
I would honestly just say I have really bad anxiety. That's it. Like,
Okay.
I get anxious and I start feeling like, I don't know, like I feel out of place, like I'm not in my own skin.
Got
You know,
it.
like I can't see myself from like a spiritual world. How everybody be like, oh my god, I was out of my body. I just feel out of place. I feel weird. I feel like I'm not me.
Okay.
Like I don't know.
Okay, so
You get itchy and see.
we're gonna talk about a little bit like a topic that I learned about how to like kind of deal with that. So I'd like to get your thoughts about what that's like once we get there. Okay. What about reflexology? You ever heard that before? Okay. Give you some more helpful information about that. Okay. So let's get to the first question. I kind of already asked it to you, right? So what is something that you like that other people might find to be weird? What is something that you have? I think you said the way you eat your food, right?
Yeah, it's just that I eat really loud. I chew with my mouth open and it's very disgusting, and I know it's not very ladylike. It's not like, you feel me?
Okay.
But when people be telling me to shut up, and be like, shut the fuck up. Like, it just tastes so much better when you hear it, like I'm enjoying my food. I'm thinking I could like, you feel me? Like,
Got it. All right, so it feels good to you, right?
It feels good to me, but I know I get on other people's nerves, which I don't care because I don't complain about you eating. So
Exactly.
Feel me?
So, next question: has anyone ever made you feel insecure about your body or a body part before?
Yes, the person I was just with right now is on baby.
Oh wow. Okay. All right.
But
What are some steps you kind of took to get past that?
that I'm that bitch.
Yeah.
I need to remind myself that I'm not gonna let anybody put into my head what I know isn't true.
Absolutely.
You can't sit here and tell me I'm ugly because I didn't ask you.
Yeah.
Me? And two, it's like I feel like in your mind when you sit there and you be like, I'm ugly and I'm ugly and I'm ugly,
Yeah.
like every time you look at yourself in the mirror, that's the first thought that comes to your mind.
Yeah.
But when you sit there and say to yourself, I feel good today, I
Yeah.
feel pretty, I'm gorgeous, or I'm sexy, or and you look in the mirror, your skin's glowing.
Absolutely.
You have a certain look to
It's
yourself.
about attitude,
yeah,
right?
you have a certain look when your attitude changes.
Got it.
And when you just know that you got it, like on God, your skin start glowing when you know that you it.
I like that. If there was one thing you could change about yourself, doesn't have to be physical, but whatever you wanted, what would you change?
My nose.
Okay, your nose. Why?
I hate my nose.
Really?
Yeah, I've
Okay.
hated my nose since forever.
I think it goes with you though, like your
It
facial
fits me.
structure.
Like I hate my nose, but like I would never ever get a nose job because they don't come out good.
Yeah.
I have not seen one nose job where I'm like, damn, that shit looks so good. Like, they all look fake and plastic, and I just wouldn't do it. But if I could be able to do one thing that I know will come out how I want it, would probably be my nose. But I be trying to picture myself any other way, and it's like, this
Kinda
fits my
hard to-
face.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, fits my face.
All right, so let's get into these questions now. What are your thoughts about your own feet? How do you feel about them? You like them? You don't like them? You're indifferent?
Right now, I don't like them.
Why is
right
that?
now, I don't like them because I can't show you, okay? Because I hit my toe, and I hit it really hard with the gate.
Really?
Like, the gate went over. I slammed it so
Oh,
hard,
wow.
it went over. And, like, my toe's, like, a little black. Just a little, okay?
Okay.
I don't want you thinking I got a whole big-ass black toe. No, it's
It's
just a
all good.
little black, a little hurt, you know?
Okay, okay.
And I fuck with my feet, though. Like, you feel me? Like, I'm always wearing sandals, even
Okay.
if it's raining, if it's snowing.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that.
I stay with my sandals.
What are your thoughts on like people who are like into feet? They like feet. Like, what are your thoughts about that?
I really don't care for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I sold a couple feet pictures.
Okay.
So
Did
I'm not,
you have?
Yeah, so I'm not tripping. Like, you know,
Okay.
do what you gotta do at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
If that's how you feel. But I mean, personally, I'm not into it.
Got it.
You
Yeah,
feel me?
absolutely.
Like,
But you don't mind if somebody else
Yeah,
is.
yeah, like do your shit. I don't care.
Have you ever dated anybody who was into that or
I wouldn't say like a foot fetish, but like
foot
constantly-
admirer maybe? Like that was just something that maybe
Yeah.
you liked.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. How often do you get like pedicures, things like that?
Honestly, right now I haven't gotten one, but it's probably been like a month since I got one. But
Really?
I usually get one every 2 weeks.
Okay. Okay. How often do you like go with open toe? You say you wear open toe shoes
I
a lot. Sandals.
honestly I wear sandals 24/7.
Okay. Okay.
It's literally raining and I'm wearing sandals.
Absolutely. How often do you go barefoot? No shoes.
Not really.
Not really.
I'm always in my sandals.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So, do you mind if we see what your feet look like up close? Is that okay?
No, hell no. I'm
Why
telling
not?
you because my toe is busted. It's
Okay. So
embarrassing.
listen. I know it might be an uncomfortable situation because you said it is that, right? But how do we overcome that? Like, right? What are some like steps that we can
Wait
take to
till
overcome?
my toe gets better.
Wait till your toe gets better.
Yeah.
What
And
about
then
the
wait
what
till
about your
I
one
go
good foot?
get a pedicure. Nah, I need a pedicure for both feet. They look okay.
So what about this? So what
They
about
look-
this, right?
My
So
feet look fine. It's
so
just
what about this,
one's
right?
black.
Let me throw this at you, okay? What if I took you out to get a pedicure? I treated you to your next pedicure.
Mhm.
Would you be comfortable with showing them today if I treated you to your next one? On behalf of my
This
YouTube
should
channel.
not be embarrassing people on the internet.
No. Look, on behalf of my YouTube channel, we don't judge anything like that. Like, it's all about
I
like.
got all these people stopping and staring at me.
So
like,
why are
yes,
we worried
this
about-
is her.
so hold on.
I am her. This
Why are we
is
worried about
she.
anybody else? Here's the thing: it's me and you talking. Like, if we were just sitting here talking and I didn't have a camera or whatever like that, it would be the same thing, right?
Mhm.
So this is all about your comfort level, seeing if you can be comfortable with this. And like I said, I'm willing to take you out for a pedicure on your next try. I'll give you my information on behalf of my
I'm just
YouTube
so
channel.
scared.
Don't
to
worry
show
about it.
my toe. But like, how up close are you talking about? Like, you know, I'll take them over here and you could show the camera.
Yeah,
Like, if
I
you
don't
finna,
mean like,
zoom-
zoom.
Yeah, I was
No,
like,
no.
if you're
I
gonna
can do it
zoom
from
in
here.
and do all the most, then nah, I don't
That's
know.
fine if you're more comfortable with that. I can do that to you, and like I said, we'll still take you out for a pedicure.
Damn, my hair looks a mess too.
Ah, you worry about that?
Yeah. But, and
Cool?
it's raining. Okay, let's see.
All right.
I'm nervous.
It's okay. Don't worry.
Okay. hold
All
on.
right, so you got your little slides on right now,
Look,
your little first
and I almost fell the other day, so like.
It's
my
all good.
knuckles
So I can
stopped.
see that you got a little spot on your toe that like you
Yeah,
kind of got
I
hurt
told
there.
you.
Okay.
I literally
Alright.
scraped it.
What size shoe do you wear?
I keep a 7.
Size 7. Okay. Mind if we see the bottoms?
Yeah, but they're just like so. They're dirty.
Oh, that's fine. Let me see the other one.
No, they're dirty.
Oh, my
They're
God.
super wet. They're super soaked, and there's like
It's
dirt
all
underneath
good.
them.
So, let's kind of like wrap up the interview. I'm gonna talk to you about reflexology, but we'll get to that next time. I kind of know you got your daughter, you got some things going on. I'll get to you the next time when we go do the pedicure, okay? But
All right.
let's wrap up the interview. In terms of my approach coming up to you, asking you to do the interview, what were your thoughts?
I mean.
Was it good? Was it bad?
I told you I'm a very awkward person, but
Okay.
I make sure.
I think you did good,
I'm
though.
I'm awkward, but I'm also a people person. You feel me? Like
Okay.
either you like me right off the bat, or you don't like me
Yeah.
right off the bat. It's either or. And either way, I don't care.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was cool. I wasn't tripping.
Okay. Cool. In terms of like the interview, start to finish, like
It was cool.
you thought it was cool?
Yeah, it was cool.
Okay. And so, how do you feel about me?
YouTube page make me want to start my own little YouTube.
Yeah,
Get
like-
some going.
Listen, like I go out and do this, and anytime anybody needs information on it, I'm willing to help out. So,
Yeah.
let me know. Like I said, we can hook up, and I'll definitely like get you set up for the pedicure next time you want to go.
I'm down.
Stuff like that. Let me know.
Yeah,
Last thing I'll ask, from a mental health standpoint, maybe a life lesson you learned, some wise words somebody once said to you that you could say to my channel that could be helpful to them. And it could be anything. It doesn't have to. Don't think too much about it.
Can I cuss?
Huh?
Can I cuss?
Just a little bit. Not try to do too much.
Okay, nah, I'm not gonna say that. Thing.
Okay.
I don't know. Like, I don't want to be like
Cliche?
too out there. No,
Okay.
I feel like you know, just doing too much. And I don't want to sound like no priest either.
Okay.
But just don't let nobody tell you that you're not it, and
Okay.
that's it. Do
Alright.
what the fuck you gotta do. If you really in your own lane and you duck off, that's it. I be
what's up.
chilling. I honestly enjoy being alone and to be around other people.
Definitely. All right.
But
Thank you so much. Appreciate you stopping to do the interview, and we hope that you have a great one. Okay.
you too.
All right. So, hi. How are you doing today?
Doing alright, how are you?
Doing great. Doing great. How did our class cross today? How do you and I just meet right now?
At the parking lot. I was going to Drummer Juice and you stopped
Okay.
me. Yeah.
No. Just getting a drink.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. And what did our approach about? What are we doing today?
We're going to be having a discussion on feet, the stigma of feet, mental health, and some other stuff, right?
Yeah, reflexology.
Yeah, okay.
Cool. So, in terms of mental health, are there any topics that you're kind of invested in that you pay attention to closely?
Oh, depression, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really big on depression. I'm a very big advocate for it. There's a lot of stigma around it even today.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna ask you some questions in regards to mental health. And we're gonna talk a little bit about the effects of social media
Yeah,
and like
okay.
dealing with anxiety with that. I'd like to get your thoughts once we get there. Okay.
Okay.
What about reflexology? Are you familiar with
I'm
it?
not familiar at all.
I bet you are, but you just probably don't recognize the term.
Okay.
So we'll get there. Okay. So first question: what are your thoughts on how the world has become more aware about mental health and what they're trying to do about it?
I want to say it was a good thing because you see a lot of posts usually about people bringing awareness, self-care, checking on your friends. There's a lot of resources out there, and depending on who you follow, it can be very beneficial. But there's also the superficial side of it where it's more just surface level, and that can be kind of damaging because it's not really touching the issues that need to be touched.
So, and it's interesting because, like, since I started, a number of the women that I've talked to have said, like, pretty much the same thing you have. Like, it's good that we're kind of, like, talking about it, but we actually need to do some work and, like, get to the deep-seated issues, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Dig further.
Exactly. What are your thoughts about social media and how do you use social media?
Oh, that's complicated. I've grown up with social media.
Okay.
It was a means for escape for me. In my household, it wasn't talked about mental health. It was considered a phase or just something that you just didn't have. And so being able to follow people and them talk about their experiences and their mental health allowed me to just kind of check in with myself at a very young age and realize something was actually wrong.
Okay.
And broach it to my parents and say, hey, this isn't a phase I'm going through. This isn't angst or anything. I think there's something seriously wrong with me. So it's helpful in that way, but detrimental with like body image. It's definitely affected my self-image. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's good. Okay. If there was one thing you could change about social media, right? Anything at all, what would you change?
Oh, that's a very, very broad question. There's a lot of stuff I feel like I would change.
Maybe more not one thing in particular, but maybe like something where you see like it's like a trend in terms of something or something like that, maybe.
Oh, filming strangers without their consent, I think is a big thing.
Exactly.
I used to be on Tumblr a lot, and so you'd see people on like subways, or even like I don't know if you remember Alex from Target.
I do.
But like it's very creepy, stalkerish almost.
Yeah.
So I think I would change that.
And that's why when I go out, like I always try to make sure. Somebody suggested that I start doing like my approaches, like recording that, but I was like, I just feel like I'd rather like get the approval first.
Yeah.
And then like make sure that I ask the person like, hey, what did I tell you we were doing today? So
consent.
I feel like that's kind of like consent and approval. So, yeah, absolutely.
Which I appreciate. Thank you.
Absolutely, yeah. No worries. My phone kind of went out here.
No, you're good.
Let's get back to the questions. Are you aware of like women who have like turned modeling their feet into like a business? And then what are your thoughts about that if you have heard about it?
So in high school, I had a friend who did it for a little bit. I don't know if she turned into a business, but there was one guy who consistently would hit her up for like just pictures of feet and stuff. He wouldn't ask her anything weird, just like ask her, hey, did you get your toes done or whatever? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, can you send me a picture and I'll send you however much money. So
what are your thoughts about it? Like, you
I think it was weird because he was older and she was underage. But if you're of age and that's something that doesn't bother you, I think it's fine.
Once again, the consent, right? And
Yeah.
it's kind of matching up. Yeah, especially if it's somebody that's like still in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of.
That was the weird part.
Yeah, but somebody who I feel like is 18 and above. I think I kind of get that, and that's why. If you notice, I asked like how old you were because like YouTube videos gotta make sure the guidelines are followed and everything.
Of course.
So if I ever even get a whiff of like somebody being underage, I'm like, no, thank you, so
out of here. That's smart.
Yeah, I don't even try to mess around with it. So, all right. So, what are some things that kind of bring you anxiety? And you don't have to go too in depth, but just maybe like certain situations and things like that.
People are hitting me up in my DMs and they're like, there's no pictures of them at all. And they're like,
like bots and stuff.
Yeah, and they kind of sound like people, but I'm not too sure if they're like burner accounts or if they're just like hacker accounts. So that gives me some anxiety.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I can understand that. Anything else, or is that pretty much like was usually like the main thing?
I think that's about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's get into these questions now. And I can see how you feel about these. What are your thoughts about your feet? How do you feel about it?
I'm not a big feet person.
But we're not talking about other people, we're talking about yours.
Yeah, even my own feet, yeah.
Okay. You don't like them, so are you indifferent?
When I was younger, I really didn't like my feet. Okay. I just felt just very, but as I get older, they're part of my body, so I take care of them, but other than that, I don't have any feelings.
Got it. So, have you ever received any compliments?
No.
Never?
No.
Okay. If you did receive a compliment, how would you feel about it?
Depending how the compliment was. So if it was just
So
hey, yeah, if your feet look nice, I'd accept it. But if it was like creepy and weird, I think I'd feel
got it.
kind of off.
All right. What are some things that you do like to be complimented about?
My hair when I have a good day. Yeah, my hair. And my smile. I had braces for a long time. So.
Okay, that's dope. I didn't notice like your hair. Like as I was going through the parking lot, I was like, oh, the hair is just kind of like.
It's doing its own thing.
It's nice. Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. In your opinion, right? What is the appropriate way for like a man to approach a woman? Like if he's a stranger, she's like, what's the appropriate way to do that?
In general, or regarding the feet?
No, in general. Like I'm just talking about approaching. Like I don't know you. I'm just coming up to you, to say hi or whatever it is, get directions, whatever it may be. What's the appropriate way to do that?
That's a good question. I would say keep a good distance away from a woman, and make sure you're seen before you approach her. Don't try to come from the side or behind. Give her space, and just be respectful. Treat her as if you wanted someone to approach you, do the same thing.
What's something that you would consider to be like a deal breaker in a relationship, like in a potential partner or something like that?
There's a lot. The main one though would be how they feel about LGBTQ people.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a deal breaker. And cheaters, but.
Yes. Yeah. And it's funny because I've been asking this question, right? There's a couple people that said the infidelity really wouldn't bother them.
Really?
I was surprised. Yeah, I was surprised. I was like,
okay.
I would feel like for me at least, I just feel like it would be hard to be in that relationship like after knowing like, hey man, this one like you look at the person the same, but there's some people I talk to who are like, it's not
they're
as
kind of
big.
okay with it.
Yeah, they're kind of like, I think that it was more like respect that they were kind of tough. But I was like, I feel like someone's cheating on you, isn't that like kind of like not respecting you? So
yeah,
I don't know. Like it's.
I feel if we agree to be in a monogamous relationship, then we agree to those terms. If it isn't that and it's more
then
polygamous,
it's not infidelity, right? Because then it's just
it's just an open relationship.
Yeah.
But if we agree, it's just you and me, no one else, and you're seeing other people, then that's a breach.
Exactly.
I can't do anything with that.
Yeah. How often do you get pedicures?
I don't.
Never? Have you ever had one?
Only when my aunt is going and she like offers, and I'll agree if I just kind of want to spend time with her. But I just trim them and I'm good.
So what's your reason for not getting them? Is it because it's more of like it's too expensive, or is it like you see it as an unnecessary cost? Like what's the
kind
reason?
of both of those things. So I feel like it's unnecessary, so therefore the money I spend on it just feels like too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now have you ever heard of a medical pedicure?
No.
Okay. So medical pedicure is when you go see a podiatrist. It's actually a specialist of the foot.
Okay.
They'll take a look at your feet. They look at your nails to make sure they grow correctly. Like, so everybody's toenails are supposed to like grow in a certain like pattern. And sometimes when you go to nail salon, they cut them incorrectly, which is why people end up with like ingrown toenails, things like that.
Okay.
So podiatrists know exactly how it's supposed to be done. They look at your toe alignment. They look at your feet, make sure you don't have dead skin or fungus.
Yeah.
They do all the work with medical grade equipment.
That's interesting.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on like seeing somebody like that?
I would be down to go. I feel like I have something medically wrong with my feet. They're very like calloused.
Okay.
And so I seen a doctor once and she's like, do you dance, you play sports? I'm like, no. She's like, it's just so odd, your feet are just hard. So that sounds interesting. I would be down to like see what they thought.
Got it. How often do you wear like open toe shoes, sandals, flip flops, things like that?
I wear a lot of closed shoes. And then when I wear slides like I am today, it's typically with like socks on.
Okay. Now, in terms of like wearing open toe shoes, like do you have any insecurities about your feet? Is that why you like keep them covered, or is it just more of a comfort thing?
It's comfort, and I don't know. I'm really cold towards my feet, so to keep them warm mainly. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. And how often do you go barefoot in shoes?
When I'm in the house, I try to go as often as possible, just kind of let them breathe, because I work 8 hours a day and I'm in tight shoes, so I try to give them a little air.
Have you ever heard of like earthing and grounding before? Okay, so earthing and grounding is like when you basically will go like stand in grass, dirt, or sand, and you just kind of like let the energy from like the earth kind of run through your body. It's like for people who do it, they say they feel like they're the most at one with nature during that time.
Yeah.
And so like from what I've heard from people, it's like at least doing it like 30 minutes a day, like really makes a huge difference in terms of just like opening up like mind space and stuff like that. Because like one woman who I talked to about this, she said, when you're born, like you don't come into the world with shoes and socks, right?
Yeah.
And even some of your funnest times as a kid was like going outside, running around with no shoes on, or like that. She was like doing that like 30 minutes a day kind of just gives you that same type of freedom where it's like, you do all these things on a daily basis, but now you can have that moment to just like let loose. So,
okay.
Yeah.
That's understandable. When I go to the beach, I do
absolutely. Yeah, so you couldn't do it, you don't even know you're doing it.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely. Okay, and so now, can we see what your feet
Sure.
Okay.
I'll give you 1 foot.
Okay, can we get two? You got two?
I'll give you 1 foot.
They're usually a little different. Let me pull this chair out right here real quick. Go ahead and sit down and just put your foot up here if you can. All right, so what size shoe do you wear?
I'm a size 3.5.
So you actually have a small foot. You're kind of petite, so you're about 5'2", 5'3".
I wish. I'm 4'11".
Are you really?
Yeah.
I wish. All right, cool. So let me get you to stand out and like put your foot up like this so we can see the sole. Yeah. So we're gonna turn it this way a little bit so I can get it right there. All right. So leave your foot up. We're gonna go through a couple more exercises. How do you feel so far? Like during this interview, how is it?
It's okay.
Okay. So let's talk about a little bit about like the mental health and kind of why I got started in this. So during quarantine, I was actually watching another guy's channel. He was talking about DBT. Have you ever heard of that?
Maybe.
Dialectical behavior therapy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's for people who suffer from like anxiety, depression, people who like tend to not like live in the moment. They like overthink the situation they're presented with.
Yeah.
So the therapist usually prescribed for people who like go through that, right? They have hard time making decisions. They like suggest that they go out and put themselves in those situations, right? So let's say you have a fear of approaching strangers, go out and approach strangers, right? Do it over and over again. Exposure therapy. Get yourself used to the uncomfortable feeling that comes with that. And when you're in the moment, and you're feeling that like uncomfortable feeling, do a self-assessment and ask yourself, what's the worst that's gonna happen to me right now, right?
Yeah.
And if you can't find anything that's like gonna threaten your life or your safety, do the opposite of what they want you to turn, because you could be experiencing like bringing yourself from experiencing like good things, good moments. What are your thoughts about that, like in terms of like trying to live that way, in terms of like situations? And we're not talking about situations where you know it's like dangerous, but we're talking about situations where you're like, okay, going to the store or something like that. What are your thoughts about trying to like kind of put that into like action?
If it's beneficial and helpful, sure, go for it. I think you should always ask a professional and somebody you trust that works in that field before pursuing it, because you never know what can trigger you, even how small. So.
True. And sometimes we have other work to do before we actually get to that place.
Yeah.
But I do know for me, like speaking from personal experience, like hearing about it, right? So in the past, I would be somebody who was like afraid of like rejection. Like it's like I didn't handle rejection the best. Like it's like for me, like getting rejected was almost like set me back. Like like I could sit there and be like, oh hey man, I feel like I should approach this girl like that, man. Like to get a no, it's be like, oh damn, like what did I do wrong? And blah, blah, this. And I just get caught in my own mind. So like going out and doing this, like having to do interviews, like going out asking over and over again. Sometimes I can get no, and so getting used to like, okay, what that feels like, and understanding that like it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong. It's just like it's somebody else's preference, so they choose not to or whatever like that, and accepting that and moving on. Because I always feel like my yes is right around the corner, even though I might get no. Somebody's eventually gonna say yes. So that's the way I try to look at it.
It's finding the right person.
Exactly. So let's talk about reflexology, okay? And then we'll wrap it up and get you out of here, okay? So reflexology deals with the different pressure points you have in your hands and your feet, right? Okay. So those pressure points actually like correlate to like different parts of your body. So through massage, acupuncture, acupressure, you can actually like alleviate stress and tension throughout your body. So what are your thoughts about like that? Because they call these areas zones, right? So if you deal with migraines, it's a portion of your foot to massage to like alleviate the tension you feel from migraines during those moments, right? What are your thoughts on like the holistic approach of like overcoming like those different elements you may have?
Do you like physical? Again, if it works for the person, great. I personally, not so much. Okay. I'm just very, very tense. I have a history with like touch, so.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so you're somebody who like something's happening, you're kind of like.
Yeah, if I don't know you, if I'm not comfortable with you, and we haven't talked about it.
So you wouldn't go to like an acupuncturist or whatever, like because you would feel like a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. Like my homegirls have invited me out to get massages, and I'm like, I'm okay. I'll like stick with like a little machine or whatever.
So quick question, like, so if you were dating somebody, right, and that person like wanted to get, would it take time for you to get used to like being with that person, or would it be like?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know how long, but
it's gonna take you some time.
To
get to that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, usually I do a sensitivity test, but I'm not gonna do that because you've already checked that you're like uncomfortable with that. So I'm not even gonna ask that. Already knowing that knowledge. Okay. But I will have you do a couple exercises. Okay. Okay. So turn, like I said, your foot this way, and let's see this. So now, if you can you make a fist with your foot? Okay. Now, tell me if you feel any pain or discomfort while doing that. Is it pretty easy to do? Okay. Relax. Spread your toes. Tell me if you feel any pain or discomfort while doing that. Easy? Yep. Okay. Wiggle your toes and tell me if you feel any pain or discomfort while doing that. Easy to do? Yep. All right, cool. All right, so that's pretty much the test, like your dexterity. See, like if you're like easy for you to move. Some people like don't really like move those muscles, so like they tend to be like more tense and like, exactly. Yeah. So let's wrap up the interview now. Okay. In terms of my approach, like coming up to you, asking you to do the interview, was it good? Was it bad? What were your thoughts about my approach?
It was fine. It's very interesting. I have no problem understanding somebody else's perspective. It's always nice to understand something I quite didn't grasp before. I feel okay.
Okay, cool. In terms of the interview from start to finish, did you see everything was going in line? Did it make sense to you? Did you learn anything new from the information?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Medical pedicures, right?
Yeah, I learned about that.
Reflexology.
Right. Okay. That your feet definitely has a hand in different parts of your body.
Yeah, absolutely. So the last thing I'll ask, from a mental health standpoint, a life lesson that maybe you learned, some wise words somebody would say to you that you can say to my channel that might be helpful.
I'm recently watching Euphoria, and one of the characters talks to her sponsor. Okay. And I believe there was an old lady in a diner. She's kind of listening to her, and she said, "Trouble doesn't last always." So that's something.
I think I've heard that in a few songs.
Right? Well. It's very universal.
Absolutely, you know? and I think it's so true. I remember having a pastor who used to always tell us that. Like you're either in the midst of a storm, coming out of a storm, or getting ready to go into a storm, right? So it's like these phases that we go through, like no matter what it is you're going through, there's always going to be something on the other side. So we just got to be aware of that.
Perseverance,
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much. Definitely appreciate you stopping to do the interview. We hope that you're great.
You too.
All right.